Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We're here with our Week 1 preview show, John. We had a lot of great action last week in Week 0, a little bit of a taste, I guess, of football season, but now we got Week 1 here, full slate of ball games on Friday.
I'll tell you what, it was looking at the scores over Friday. Man, there was a lot that happened that I did not expect. My score in the pick'em reflects that as well.
Yeah, we had some blowouts, we had some upsets, we had some close ball games, a little bit of everything. Definitely excited to see everyone get it out in the field this Friday night. But if you guys are tuning in for the first time, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com. That's MOVINCHAINS.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. If you want a recap of last week's games, check out our podcast, our Week 0 recap over on, like I mentioned, Spotify and Apple Music. If you want a preview show, tune in every Tuesday night here on Facebook and YouTube Live to check out John and Jarrell and I previewing this upcoming week's games. John, so let's get right into it now with our CONA games of the week. We've got 5 great ball games from all across the state. The first one here, a 1-point game last year, and that's Ridgeview traveling to Sumter. Ridgeview 32-21 winner over Blythewood last week. Sumter 53-8 over Lakewood last week. Like I mentioned, last year's ball game, Sumter won 15-14. I expect a few more points in this one, John, but this should be a really fun 4A, 5A matchup.
Yeah, I tell you what, you got to be really, really excited if you're a fan of Sumter or Ridgeview after what they did Friday. You know, we expected Sumter to win, going down a little bit to play Lakewood, but putting up 53 points.
Yeah.
You got to be excited about that. You want, I think we talked about it last week. So, we want to see Sumter score some more points before we really take them serious again. Boy, they did it. They did. They came out the gates and Ridgeview, excellent win for them.
We were talking about they lost 3 D1 receivers last year, lose their quarterback, lose their running back. Who do they have offensively? They just keep finding playmakers. I mean, Braylon Boyd, the quarterback, played great. The sophomore wide receiver, Jordan Gidron, had 3 touchdown catches. Running back Sia Mack had 141 yards on the ground. Just playmaker after playmaker, playmaker after playmaker for the Blazers. They look great on that side of the ball. And then holding a pretty good Blythewood team to 21, defensively, Brown and Matthews kind of led them on that side of the ball. A really, really impressive win for a 4A squad over a 5A Bengals team last week.
Yeah, and, it's not just a run-of-the-mill 5A team. This is the 5A team that won their regional last year, came into this season not in the top 10, but right on that doorstep of a top 10 team, which I think was a fair place to put them coming to the season. Ridgeview in their own right, they were outside the top 10 in 4A, and probably because they lost so much of that production from last year. But hats off to that coaching staff down there, and hats off to those kids for putting in the work in the off season, because when it happens in Week 0 and you come out and you make a splash like that, that's a testament to, hey, everybody did what they were supposed to do and need to do in the off season and put in that hard work where it's not as fun to do it, in the summer and when it's not in the season. So good job to those guys. I think we're going to have a really, really good ball game. I like Sumter in this one a little bit. I think Sumter's definitely, in my book, a level up from Blythewood. But hey, Richards won by 2 scores. I think they're going to make this a pretty doggone good ball game. The fact that they put up 32 as well, impressive offensively for the Blazers. This could be a fun game, and this could be a game where there's more offensive fireworks than maybe we would have thought 2-3 weeks ago.
For sure. You mentioned Sumter. We always know they're good on defense, but the offense this year has looked good, albeit 1 week into the year. But they have some names coming back that we knew had some potential. They were Pate Merchant at quarterback, 14 for 21, 239, 3 touchdowns last week. The running back Peoples had a nice game as well, defensively led by the Lowry kid there. And Coach Mark Barnes has always got the Gamecocks ready to play. This should be a really fun ball game. Sumter playing at home is a big advantage. That's a great atmosphere over there at Sumter Memorial Stadium. This is going to be a tight one. Ridgeview really opened my eyes last week. I thought they were a good football team. I thought they had a good chance to play Blackwood. Just didn't know how they were going to do it. But, man, that passing offense with Boyd and Gidron there, that was really impressive to me. And I think they've got a chance to win again because we haven't seen Merchant and Peoples do it in a big-time atmosphere for Sumter yet.
Yeah, and mentioned here, Bay had a really good game for the Gamecocks as well. 122 yards receiving, had 3 of those go for scores. Sumter took full advantage last week playing a smaller opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, just like Ridgeview, stepping up a little bit in the competition. Sumter stepping up in competition this week too. This is going to be a really, really fun ball game. And after everything that went down on Friday, man, I'm not picking any 5A team over a 4A team or 4A team over a 3A team just because they're the bigger school.
Yeah.
Some smaller schools certainly made that apparent that that's a bad thing to do last Friday.
I do think we're going to get more points than last year's 15-14 ball game. I will say that. I'm going to lean with Sumter at home, but would not be surprised at all if Ridgeview wins this ballgame. I know I'm kind of waffling there on that one. Sorry, guys, but it's just so early in the year. You still don't know a ton about these teams.
Yeah, I think this, within single digits. I don't think this is more than a 10-point game. I do think Sumter wins this one as well. I think we're looking more along the lines of a 24-17 kind of game, somewhere in there.
I like it. Our next CONA game of the week, we've got a 2A matchup here. Andrew Jackson traveling to Fairfield Central. Andrew Jackson playing their first game of the year. They were off last week. New head coach, Jeremy Smith, coming over from Bowling Springs. A lot of experience in his background there. Everybody knows about Trey Thompson, the running back who went for over 2,500 yards, 37 touchdowns last year for the Volunteers. He's back again. I believe they've got 7 offensive starters back, so a really good number on that side of the ball. Defensively, got some question marks for sure there. Looking at Fairfield Central, they rolled over Carvers Bay, 41-0 over the Bears there. Sophomore quarterback Cam McMillan, 15 for 21, 244, 2 touchdowns. Watch over to Darian Greer, 6 for 101. Turner, McLeod, and Bell led the defense for those guys. Fairfield Central, I think, is a really, really good 2A team this year. The fact that they've already played a game, I think, gives them a leg up over Andrew Jackson. Last year, they beat the brakes off those guys, 41-21. I think Andrew Jackson's a pretty good football team, but I think it could happen again. I like Fairfield Central fairly big in this one.
Yeah, last year, that's kind of a testament to that AJ program growing up and improving as the season went last year. And maybe they do that again this year, but I agree with you. Catching the Griffins in week 1 for Andrew Jackson, I think it's going to be a lot to overcome for them. Fairfield Central, we talked about them in our preseason show. We talked about them a good bit last week too. We think they could be really, really good this year, and they certainly came out the way that we expect them to, and would have liked to seen them do last Friday as well. I think the Griffins continue. I'm not going to say roll, but I think they do win this game. We still got hold out a little bit of judgment on AJ to see how they progress in that season. But you're right. There's just a lot of change with that Vol program. So I'm hesitant to say, they're definitely going to do this. They're definitely going to do that because we just don't know yet. But Fairfield Central, that sneak peek we got Friday, they are very good.
And don't forget, they're playing at home. Another great atmosphere gives the Griffins even a more leg up. I think they do win this ball game. But our third CONA game of the week, John, this one is really fun here. A really good rivalry matchup. Westside traveling to Belton-Honea path. Both teams off last week will get their first taste of the action this Friday night. Westside, new head coach Brian Lane. Everybody knows him from the Burns days, from the South Florence days, from the Woodruff days, the Clover days. He's over at Westside now. All-world quarterback Cutter Woods, the junior. He's got some big-time offers already. He can really sling it. He's a fun guy to watch. 2 great wide receivers, Jamar Boston and Josh Williams. Both of them D1 guys. I think Boston just got an NC State offer a week or so ago. He can really get it done. The question for Westside, John, we saw them play last year. Defensively, what do they have? Can Brian Lane improve that side of the ball? If they can hold teams under 20, 28 points, I think they can win a lot of football games at Westside. Will the Rams be able to do that this year?
If they hold teams in the low 20s, they might win every ball game. They're certainly explosive offensively. This BHP team, though, this is another team, a lot like Fairfield Central we talked about. They had a lot of things going really well for them at the end of last year. Same thing for the Bears. They're going to be really good this year. Expect them to come out well. And they get this game at home to Martin over here saying, hey, sold out most likely. Yeah, I agree. That's going to be a good atmosphere. And I tell you what, I'm siding with the Bears in this game, but this will be a fun game to go to because you expect BHP to play some pretty good defense, have those pieces in place at least. Be a good test for Westside right off the bat offensively to continue having that firepower they had last year. But I think BHP is going to be a little bit too much for the Rams in this one, especially being at home.
This is, one of the surprises of the year last year, early in the season. BHP went to Westside and won 19-17. Nobody really saw that coming. That was a huge win there. Marquise Henderson, the running back for BHP, is a stud, very electric. He'll get some big-time offers coming down the pipe here quickly. Quarterback Noah Thomas and Rob Barnett are kind of fighting for that spot. That worries you a little bit going into week 0. They don't have a settled guy yet. We'll see how that works out. Defensively, Jackson and Burns kind of lead that team. Coach Blaston does a great job there with the Bears. They, if you guys remember in our 3A preview show, I was very high on those guys, so they've got a very good chance, I think, to win 3A Upper State this year. But I think Westside's really good too. I'm going to lean towards the quarterback that I trust more, Cutter Woods, with Brian Lane. I think Westside wins a close one here, but this should be a exciting ball game. I think it could be kind of high scoring, honestly, with Woods and Boston and Williams and Marquise Henderson get loose for the other side too. But I like Westside in a close one, but exciting. A lot of big-time plays in this ball game.
Yeah, there's certainly no storage of talent on the offensive side of the ball Friday in this one. This would be a really, really good game to go to.
Our 4th CONA game of the week. Down to the CSRA here, John. Strom Thurmond traveling to Midland Valley. If we said 2 years ago, this would be one of our games of the week, people would have laughed at us. Two programs that were kind of down in the dumps a little bit, at least especially Midland Valley. But they've really been on the uptick. Had a good season last year. Made the playoffs, I think finished 3rd in their region. Off to a good start this year. Strom Thurmond, 21-12 winners over Laney out of Georgia last week. Midland Valley, 35-21 over Grovetown last week. We found out that Strom Thurmond's quarterback, Quan Edmond, didn't play in that ball game. We'll see if he's back. I don't know if Zach has any information on that, but he didn't play last week. We'll just leave it at that. But everybody knows about the receiver, Braylon Staley. She's a Tennessee commit. He's a stud, had a big game. We've got another great athlete, Juju Stevens, out there for those guys. But, the guy who filled in for them, Brayshawn Lee at quarterback, went 16 for 20, about 51, 3 touchdowns, played fairly well as a backup quarterback. So if they have to go with him, I think they'll be okay. But we'll see how that turns out. Defensively, Trey Clark and Stevens are leading that side of the ball. Year 2 for head coach Andrew Webb. I think Strom Thurmond is a really good team in 2A. I know they're stepping up a couple classes really here going to Midland Valley, but they've got a good shot to win this ball game.
They certainly do. And one thing that I thought was a huge takeaway from seeing them play last year, I know I've said this before probably half a dozen times, they're big. They're big and they play big. They, offensively they play big. Their running backs are falling forward. They're running into you. They play very aggressively. They're not afraid of contact. They don't shy away. And they're obviously extremely well coached. I think that's going to diminish the 5A, 3A or 4A, 2A aspect of the matchup. But I tell you what, that splash that Midland Valley made on Friday is very impressive. It was the running back, one of our players of the week, had. That's incredible.
Good comment here from Bossman. Said All-State linebacker didn't play last week either for Strom Thurmond.
Okay.
So good news there.
Then the question is, are they going to play this Friday?
Yeah, exactly. Midland Valley in that win over Grovetown. Listen to this, John. They threw it 9 times, ran it 55 times. So we know what they want to do offensively. Where are the stats here? Trayvon Dunbar, everybody knows him, Super 75 guy, 26 for 267, 2 touchdowns. Preston McNair, 20 for 120 and a touchdown. Linebackers, Morgan and Simpkins really do a great job on that side of the ball. What does worry me about this Midland Valley program, the quarterbacks they're playing. They're not asking them to do a lot right now, obviously. They were JV guys last year. Don't have a lot of experience at the varsity level, so we'll see how that goes for them. Both these teams, I think, are going to make some noise this year. If Edmond's back, I like Strom Thurmond a lot. If he's not back, you may have to lean to the Mustangs.
Yeah, I lean to the Mustangs here. That I think they are getting back on the map as being a serious contender. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the Mustangs in this one in a really close game, though.
Yeah, for sure. Comment from Zach I saw said Staley and the other receiver are stud. Yeah, him and Stevens are really good. Yep, Bossman says next man up. Exactly right. Yeah, this is and it's like we say every week, non-region. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So as long as they're better by region time, but still should be a fun ball game there between Strom Thurmond and Midland Valley down in the CSRA. Last year, Midland Valley won 29-23, trying to back that up here in back-to-back seasons. In our 5th game of the week from CONA, our SCISA game of the week, John, 2 rivals. Heathwood Hall traveling to Ben Lippen. Last year, Ben Lippen put it on those guys 34-6. Heathwood Hall knocked off a 1A school, Great Falls, last week 42-6. Ben Lippen went up to Asheville Christian. Defense optional in this ball game, 62-54 over those guys. Ben Lippen had their quarterback sophomore Javon Gilmore go 14 for 20, 251 and 5 touchdowns. 2 running backs over 100 yards with Tavian Coatney going 16 for 168, 2 touchdowns, and Braden Mary 14 for 111, 2 touchdowns. Coatney also had 5 catches for buck 18, 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Blake Boast, a nice game as well. Essick and Cobbs led the defense. But what does worry about on that team, they gave up 593 through the air to Asheville Christian. That's a lot of points. Rick Reitz over Heathwood Hall, new head coach. He's got some great schemes there offensively. Quarterback Patrick Belt, 8 for 14, a buck 87, 3 touchdowns last week. We don't know a lot about these guys still because they had that Great Falls game in hand pretty quickly last week over there on the road. But, Thomas and Wilcox and Dukes on defense are good players. But I think we just know a little bit more about Ben Lippen and then playing at home as well. You're 2 under Coach Weigel. I think the Falcons win this one.
I think so too. Just looking at what they did last week, and we don't know a ton about the school out of Asheville, but what we do know is they were able to run the ball very, very well.
Yeah.
They were able to throw the ball very, very well.
Yep.
And for a high school team to be able to, especially I think in SCISA, I think it's a bigger deal too.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have all the depth, right? So if you can do both of those things very well, obviously did it very well Friday. That bodes well for Ben Lippen in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ben Lippen wins this ball game as well. So once again, our 5 CONA games of the week: Ridgeview at Sumter, Andrew Jackson at Fairfield Central, Westside at Belton-Honea Pat, Strom Thurmond at Midland Valley, and Heathwood Hall, the Highlanders at Ben Lippen. Drill, any comments we need to check out on those ball games or from anybody else before we move into the friends of the program? Corey Davis, Gabe Cusack had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, big game for Gabe. He is a stud, great athlete, running in, throwing. Adrian said, let's go Louisville. Tough loss. I think we're sure they will bounce back. Zach talking about Clinton and Lawrence. Always a fun matchup when those 2 rivals get together. Going to be hot. We'll definitely get in a little bit. Anthony Berry says Marlboro's defensive line for Sherrall.
I'm excited about that game.
That's one of our pick 'em ball games. That should be really fun. The Braves are better this year, but I think the Bulldogs are too. We'll get to that one here in a little bit. Had the Oceanside defense gas 14-7. Yeah, and I think it sounded like the defensive line kind of got on Louisville a little bit late in that ball game. But Louisville had a chance. They hung in tough. It'll be a fun ball game. Derek Patay talking about Lakeview came a little short. Yeah, I was surprised with how that Marion Lakeview game went. A little closer than I thought it was going to be. Lakeview's got some young pieces that they're building around. Herlong and Foxworth and those guys. They're going to fight. We know that about Coach King's squad. They will be fine, I think, as the season rolls on.
And they'll get better. They'll get better as the year goes.
Yeah, Marion and Wilson will be a fun ball game. I think last year Marion was up big in that one. Let Wilson come back. Some really fun athletes on both sides of that ball game, John. We'll get to that one here in the breakdown a little bit. And then Big Dylan versus Lamar. Hey, always a fun matchup. 2 premier programs, Dylan and Lamar. You think Dylan's got too much depth probably for those guys, but we'll break that one down here in a minute as well. Patrick, what's going on, buddy? I know you were upset after the tough loss on Friday. Your boys will be fine. I got Union County this week. That'll be fine. About Strom Thurmond being loaded. Agreed, boss man. We talked about it. You guys have studs everywhere. A big-time threat in 2A. Drew, anything else before we hop into our first friends break here?
Yeah, let's go to the commercial break. That's all for right now.
Perfect.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
All right, John, before we look at the 5A games, a couple questions I want to throw out to you and even Drill, who wants to hop in too. They always say the biggest improvement is game 1 to game 2. So how much of an advantage does it give these teams that played last week over some of the guys who maybe didn't play and are just kicking off this Friday night?
I think it's a huge advantage. And I think for one, I think maybe the biggest advantage is actually playing a full 40-minute ball game. I know Friday was a little bit favorable with the weather. This Friday is going to be really tough.
We've seen several games already getting pushed back to 8 o'clock starts to help with that a little bit.
I think just the fact of reminding the kids that are, maybe not playing a ton, reminding them, hey, boy, a 48-minute game, this is tough. You got to be really prepared. And then for the kids that are, stepping into big time roles and playing really a full game for the first time, probably an eye-opening experience for a lot of them too. So to go ahead and get that first one under your belt and know, okay, man, I really got to drink water. Let me pack a couple more bananas, whatever it is you need to do. And just kind of, playing somebody different too. I know everybody has scrimmages and jamborees, but when you line up against the same people every day for 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever the preseason, I think about 4 weeks, I suppose. You probably get a little bit comfortable with certain things, and then game one happens, you go, oh, okay, well, I'm not good as this as I thought I was.
Yep.
So for the coaches too, you have a couple play calls that you think are probably going to work, and they don't. And you got a couple things you go, well, maybe we just should lean on that a little bit more. So I think it's a pretty big advantage.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look now at 5A, run through those ball games. Drill's in here. Give your thoughts, buddy.
Yeah, no, I was just going to mark the tape there. This is like the first time I agree with everything that John just said there.
Hey!
No, but the big thing too, I look at it down the season. You play those week 0 games, you get a bye. That's the biggest benefit I think out of this whole thing. Get the guy. I know they're chomping at the bit all summer. They've been doing all this stuff to get to play that week 0. Then you can refresh before region play. I think that's the biggest advantage. But let's go ahead and hop into the next section.
Perfect. Let's look at some 5A ball games.
All right, we'll start down the low country. We'll have Cane Bay going to Ashley Ridge.
Interesting one here. Cane Bay almost, maybe not a surprising one, but beat Beaufort pretty handily last week. Beaufort team, a defending state champ there. Ashley Ridge, new coach Jeff Tate. We'll see what he's got. That's when I've got my eye on down there in the low country.
Yeah, I mean, that's still to beat a Beaufort team handily is impressive. Yeah, whether you're 5A or not, that's pretty impressive. Talking about Beaufort, they are welcoming Fort Dorchester into town. That's going to be a tough game for Beaufort as well.
Yep.
But hey, cut your teeth early. Cut your teeth early while you can. We have Hanahan going to Berkeley. One of our pick'em games, right?
Yeah, this should be a fun. Hanahan put up a lot of points last week. Kevon Rivera, 300-plus yards on the ground, one of our players of the week, over a win over Georgetown there. Berkeley, quarterback Henry Rivers, the freshman, looked really good in a win over Timberland last week. Obviously 5A, 3A there. Can Coach Lodge get it done at home for the Stags? We shall see. But that's a really fun game, too, that I have my eye on Friday night.
Yeah, that's a game where you could have a 3A team beating a 5A team. I'm siding with Berkeley because they're at home, but, I'll make the non-committal. Hey, I won't be surprised if Hanahan wins either. They were very impressive Friday.
Yep.
We'll have this is going to be a really fun game here. Mm-hmm. 2 5A teams going at it. Somerville going to Carolina Forest. That's going to be a nice little test for a Somerville team that's got some pretty lofty expectations this year.
Carolina Forest can always put up points. Had a big game last week. Somerville, new quarterback Jaden Cummings. What can they do in their first ball game of the year? I think Somerville, they want to make a statement, obviously, because they're one of the favorites. I think they're number 1 in the prep poll that just came out actually in 5A. Kind of surprising there, but a fun ball game down there on the coast.
We'll have Mid-Carolina going to Chapin. Chapman will host Burns. Chester hosting Fort Mill. Myrtle Beach goes to Conway. North Augusta will go to Dorman. Dutch Fork hosting Spartanburg. 2
talented teams, both 0-1. We're talking on the recap show. Dutch Fork got beat pretty handily by Colquitt County. I mean, they did. But I don't think I learned a whole lot about them. I mean, because that game was kind of out of hand pretty early. Colquitt County is that good. Quarterback John Hunt did go down with the broken, possibly collarbone. We're not really sure there, but I think he's out for a while. Spartanburg, tough loss to South Point. They fought hard, couldn't quite come up at the end. Will be a fun ball game there. A couple of those, North Augusta, Dorman's a big matchup there. I think, John, Dorman struggled last week and couldn't quite take down Greenville. North Augusta looked good in their win. And then Burns Chapman, 2 teams that looked really good last week. Obviously, a 3A, 5A matchup. You got to lean Burns there, but Coach Cabinets and the Panthers looked good as well.
Yeah, that was a great start for Chapman. I think Chapman's going to be just fine. I think Burns wins this game probably pretty handedly.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's going to be. If they do, no hesitation, no worries from the Chapman side. They'll be just fine. Moving on, we've got another. This has been a huge game 20 years ago. Union going to Gaffney.
You got a get-right game for Gaffney here after a tough one last week. Union, got beat by multiple scores by Newberry last week. the Indians like roll here.
Yeah, they do. Hopefully we see Union improve, but I don't think it's going to be on Friday. We'll have Greer going to Hillcrest. RB Stall will be at James Island. JL Mann hosting Riverside.
A sneaky good game in Greenville County. You don't get to say that a whole lot between two Greenville County teams. But these are fun ball games here. Riverside looked good last week in their win. JL Mann, Ethan Anderson put up tons of points last week. So it should be a fun ball game there between Coach Watson and those guys over there. I saw Patrick comment, Gaffney might hang 50. I agree with you on that. So, but that's a fun one, man, in Riverside.
We'll have South Aiken going to Lexington. Wando will be at Lucy Beckham. Malden hosting Boiling Springs. West Ashley at May River. York at Nation Ford. Clover will be going to Northwestern.
That's a fun one there. Northwestern, tough loss to Providence State. Nothing to be ashamed about. They fought really hard. Had actually a decent chance if they just converted a couple times inside the 20 to win that ball game. Clover off last week. New coach Perry Woolbright traveling down to D3 Stadium will be a fun matchup. I think the Trojans get a win, but that could be a sneaky close ball game as well.
In the Midlands, we'll have Blythewood going to Richland Northeast. I think this is a must-win game for Blythewood from a confidence perspective.
Yeah. R&E did not look good against Crestwood last week, but Blythewood needs this win.
They do. I think more pressure on Blythewood, and it's weird to say that in week one, you got a little bit of pressure on you.
Yeah.
But I think you do, because I don't think they expect to lose that game Friday against Ridgeview. Yeah. We'll have Sockasty going to Silver Bluff. Rock Hill will be at South Point. White Knoll going to Spring Valley. St. James is hosting Phillips Simmons. Fun game here.
That's a good one. St. James looked really good last week. So did Phillips Simmons in a win over Andrews. Obviously, a couple classes difference here between those two. I think we'll find out a good bit about St. James. I think that we know that Phillips Simmons is pretty good. Coach Bendig has been doing a good job down there. We'll find out just how good the Sharks are, I think, this Friday night.
I like Phillips Simmons in this game.
Okay.
I think they're going to pull it off. We'll see Ridgeview at Sumter. We talked about that. One of our games of the week. River Bluff will be at Swansea. Atlanta is hosting Greenville. Tell you what, the Red Raiders can really make everybody in 4A nervous if they knock off two 5A powerhouses 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
that would be a statement.
We mentioned they beat that Dorman team fairly handily last week. I think it got to within a score or two once late, but it wasn't ever really in doubt. Greenville rotating quarterbacks right now. Kind of surprised me with Drummond and Picklestein both getting snaps. See how that works out as the season goes along. Mazio Bennett had a big game, of course. You just wonder, TL their chance, is basically they got to ground and pound and milk the clock. That's what they're going to have to do. We know Greenville can score points. So, TL had a closer game I thought they would last week against Bowling Springs. That kind of surprised me there. So maybe they are still kind of figuring out themselves a little bit. I think Greenville wins this ball game.
I think they do too. Giving up, I know TL won the ball game, but giving up 28 to Bowling Springs was a little bit alarming to me. I didn't expect them to give up that many points.
Yeah.
And they're going to face a much better offense this Friday in Greenville. And they're not going to get any breaks about Greenville being a 4A team, because Greenville's got to have they probably have the best offensive line in the state, regardless of classification.
Yeah.
So that they're going to have to come to play big time. They're going to play really well. I like the Red Raiders in this game too. And then to close out 5A, we have Walhalla going to Woodmont.
Perfect. Drew, any comments on these 5A matchups we need to read through before we roll on down to 4A? Bulldog, appreciate you, my man. Excited for that Strom Thurmond Midland Valley game. Should be a lot of fun on Friday nights. Appreciate you hopping in here and showing some love on a Tuesday night.
Now we can go ahead and move on. Nothing 5A specific.
Let's do it. Let's roll down to 4A, John.
All right, in 4A, starting in the Midlands, we got AC Flora hosting Dreer.
AC Flora, a surprise loss last week to me. Greenwood, one of our teams of the week, beat those guys at home, 24-23, I think it was. We knew AC Flora's replacement on offense. We thought the defense would be a little better than it was. Maybe that says more about Greenwood. Time will tell. But AC Flora needs to bounce back and beat a Dreer team that came back to beat Keenan last week. I think AC Flora gets it done. But that was a surprise the way that ball game turned out last week.
And this could be one of those games where you were just talking about, hey, you make the biggest jump from game one to game two. Mm-hmm. We could see that with AC Flora this week.
Yep.
Aiken will be hosting Appling County out of Georgia. Airport will host Brooklyn Casey. We talked about this game already, a game of the week. Westside going to Belton-Honea Path. Really exciting matchup there. Bluffton will host Jenkins out of Georgia. Rivalry game, Kershaw County, Lugoff Elgin going to Camden. Let's see if the Demons can score some points this time around. Not going to hold my breath on that.
Get the T-shirts ready.
Yeah, you can go ahead and print the front of them probably. And then we'll have Charlotte Christian out of North Carolina. We'll go to Catawba Ridge. Myrtle Beach will be at Conway. I think that's a game Myrtle Beach wins.
They need to. They were pretty bad last week. But, honestly, Conway was bad too. But, Hartsville beat the crap out of those boys. Myrtle Beach, I think, will get better as the quarterback gets more and more playing time. We mentioned Goodrow didn't play football last year, played baseball. Had, I think, 4 picks in the first half, John, last week. I mean, if he improves on that, they can be a good team, but we'll see. But that's always a fun rivalry game there between Conway and the Seahawks.
Thinking there's going to be a lot of running the ball this Friday instead. We'll have Easley at Daniel, another little bit of a rivalry game here, like Daniel in that ball game.
Daniel looked really good last week. Some new names, Shakari Bennett and whatnot, really got it done. Turnip seed at quarterback looked great. I think Daniel is going to be reloaded. I think there'll be a tough out in 3A, of course.
We've got Hartsville going to Darlington. I think Hartsville wins this ball game, but I was impressed with Darlington getting the win last week.
The first win since 2019, I think it was there. And I read a stat, I can't remember how long it was, but that was the first Friday that Lamar, Darlington, and Hartsville all won in the same week in 2-3+ years. It's a pretty cool stat there. A fun rivalry game here. Hartsville, a bigger school. You don't like that stat?
One of them hasn't won in 2 years, so
okay. Well, point taken. But I do like Hartsville in this ball game. They're really good. But I was impressed with Coach Johnson and the Falcons getting that win week 0 over a fairly good Pageland Central team there.
Yeah. We talked up Central. We talked up the Eagles in the preseason show, thinking that they could be a little bit better, and the defense let them down a little bit. They gave up a lot of points Friday.
Look, Hartsville's going to win the ball game. Let's move on, guys.
Red Foxes! I'm a big fan of Coach Calabrese and those boys. I think Hartsville wins that one.
All right, moving on, Darrell. We'll have North Augusta going to Dorman. Pickens will go to Georgia. They'll play Franklin County. Hilton Head Island will be hosting Claxton out of Georgia. Irmo at home against Lancaster.
Irmo looked great last week. Lancaster did not look great last week. Got the brakes beat off them by Chester. Irmo, A.J. Brand's a real deal at quarterback. Those guys are kind of laying in the weeds there in 4A. I think they have a chance to make some real noise this year.
I do too. And having a really good quarterback playing Brand, that is massive. This might be a fun ball game. I like the Yellow Jackets at home. I think they take care of business here. We've got Berea going to Landrum. Lawrence will be hosting Clinton. We already talked about that one.
Yeah, really fun rivalry game. Lawrence did not look good. Hillcrest beat them pretty handily last week. Scott says, let's go Big Red. Clinton looked great. I think they scored their first 7 offensive possessions. Jaden Robinson looked really good. The new quarterback looked good. The Copeland kids looked good defensively. Zay did a great job there. Zay Johnson, the Cincinnati commit. Clinton, I think, rolls in this ballgame. I know it's a rivalry game. Maybe that's some extra juice 2, 3, 4, whatever. It doesn't matter. Clinton is a much better football team.
100% agree. That's what it'll come down to. It might be a little bit closer than what maybe some people expect, but I don't know. I think Clinton rolls.
Yep.
We'll have North Myrtle Beach be going to Loris.
Loris looked really good last week. I think held Greensleeve Floyd to like 40 yards of offense. North Myrtle Beach was scoreless last week, so Loris may have a very good defensive showing again. We shall see.
They'll certainly need it. Westwood will be at Lower Richland.
That's a sneaky fun ball game. Westwood, a good win over Spring Valley last week. Lower Richland lost on a last-second field goal to West Ashley. So both teams looked fairly good in week 0. Year 2 for Coach O'Connell, the bigger school there at Westwood. We'll see what they've got this week over Lower Richland.
Then we have May River hosting West Ashley. We talked about Midland Valley hosting Strom Thurmond. Pretty fun matchup there.
One of our games, if you guys are just tuning in, we talked about that game at the beginning of the show. So when we get done here, you can rewind to check out that Strom Thurmond Midland Valley chat.
York will be at Nation Ford. Got South Florence going to Oceanside. Bruins, very, very impressive last Friday.
A fun game last year. South Florence won by a point. Oceanside surprised me last week. They had some playmakers that I didn't know they had. They looked really good in that win over Louisville. South Florence, though, started off a little bit slow, really came to life late against Goose Creek. I think the Bruins win this ball game. They're still kind of fair at the quarterback spot. We'll see what happens with that for Coach Marlowe. They got 2 guys that are rotating there, but They've got some studs, Zion Gilbert running back. They lost the other running back. I think McCray kid broke his hand or wrist, ankle. So he's out for a while. South Lawrence, I think, wins this ball game probably by a couple scores.
I think so too. We'll have Eastside going to Pendleton. Greenwood, after their big win, they'll go across state lines. They'll play Sandy Creek out of Georgia. Indialand will be at Timberland. Travelers Rest will go to Wade Hampton. Lake City at West Florence, and Marion at Wilson, we talked a little bit about earlier. That'll be a fun ball game.
A lot of athletes in Marion with Sanders and Scott and Cusack can really put some points on the board. Wilson only scored 21 last week against Ainer. Kind of surprised me there, but I love the Waiters kid. Love Bryson Scott. They've got some athletes as well. I think Wilson, being the bigger school, has a little more depth. I think they win this ball game because of that, but I do think Marion can put up some points on those boys.
They're certainly talented enough, and they got the quarterback too.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yep. Drill, any 4A questions we need to go through before we move on into 3A?
Just a couple, for the games that we were talking about. Zach's talking about his Red Devils, of course.
Yeah, if those are defensive penalties, I'm gonna call Coach Campbell, get him to work on that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, you see that, Zach. Obviously, week 0, you get a lot of penalties. People just haven't been used to that game time stuff a lot of times. But yeah, hopefully they get that cleaned up here.
Hold on, one more. I love this one. I got to put it up there. Corey.
Okay, Corey with Darlington in the upset. That will be a shocker. I love what Coach Johnson's doing. If he pulls that off, I mean, Darlington,
big time.
Darlington to the moon. I mean, I don't know who's going to beat them. Yeah, that would be great. But I like Hartsville. I think John and Drill do too. But the Falcons, we shall see.
Yeah. Hey, that'd be chaos.
I'd
love to see it.
It would. John, let's look down at 3A now.
Starting with King Street, they will be going to Ainer. Battery Creek hosting Ridgeland Hardyville. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Fort Dorchester going to Beaufort. Liberty at Blue Ridge. Broome will be hosting Chesney. West Oak at Carolina. Marlboro County at Sherrill. That could be a fun game. I think both of those, as you just said earlier, both of those programs are improved. And I think they both have some pretty high ups going this season.
Coach McCollum, year 2 there at Marlboro County. The Purvis kid is really good. I like him a lot. Anything says Marlboro defensive line will be too much. We'll see how that goes. Sherrill under Coach Poole, a tough couple of years, but they have some young players, some young talent. They're going to be, I think, really good this year. Dwight Harrington at safety is a great player. The quarterback, the Joseph kid's a good player. He's got some young freshmen to keep an eye on who will be playing some significant roles this year. I think Sherrill at home, tough place to play. I kind of want to go with the upset here with the Braves.
I'm not, but I think it's going to be really close. I think Marlboro County is still going to be a little bit better.
Okay. Should be a fun game, though, for sure.
We've got Southside at Christ Church. That is Southside High School.
Yep.
Not Southside Christian.
Cavaliers looking for a bounce-back win over at Carson State. I think they get it this week.
I think so, too. Have Dixie going to Crescent. Lakewood will be at Fox Creek. Andrews going to Georgetown. Batesburg-Leesville will be at Gilbert.
Both those games are fun. Andrews, Georgetown, 2 teams that started off 0-1. Georgetown had a good game plan, played hand-to-hand really tough. Andrews didn't play so well against Philip Simmons. Got surprised by that score there, but 2 pretty good football teams there. And then Batesburg and Gilbert. Gilbert, a team we didn't see play. No, they played a team out of Georgia last week, I think. Is that right?
Let's see.
But anyway, Batesburg did not look great against Clinton. I think they're better. I talked to some guys, even though that score.
Gilbert didn't play last week.
Gilbert did not play?
No, they didn't play week 0.
Okay, first game for Gilbert here. They replacing a lot of pieces. No more Graham Woodbury, no more Alan Hendricks. The quarterback is back. We'll see how that goes for them. But Batesburg could make some noise. I think Gilbert wins this one at home, though, because it's always a tough place to play.
Gilbert's going to win this game, I think. I feel pretty good about that.
Yep.
Crestwood will be at Gray.
Almost one of our games of the week there. Crestwood looked great last week. Javion Martin had a huge ball game. He is one of the better quarterbacks in the state. People aren't talking enough about that kid, John. He is special at 3A. He can run it. He can throw it, a little bit of everything. Kevron says, go Gray. Yeah, we were down there at Gray last week as they opened their stadium. They looked really good. The running back, BJ Montgomery, had a huge ball game. Caleb Ford coming back from injury. They're working him in slowly. 2 quarterbacks, Tyler Waller and Dre Dobson, both played. Both looked good, John. Dre was a little bit more of an athlete than what Tyler was, but Tyler could move it as well on the ground. Both threw it pretty well. Defensively, they had some big-time play up front. The line was really impressive. I think the issue you run into with this ballgame, if you're Gray, is the depth. Because, with Martin not being really a pocket passer, He's going to be running around. He's going to get your defensive line tired. Your linebackers are going to be tired. Does that play a part later in the game? I don't know. But Gray at home, that does give them a little bit of boost there as well.
This is going to be a really, really good game. And I'm glad I don't have to pick this game. I'm glad because this one, super, super tough. I think Gray might be better. But, again, like you talked about, maybe Crestwood can wear them down a little bit, especially it being hot. So I think that's going to be a really, really good game. And I think for whoever loses that game, you can walk away and go, hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That might be the best team we play all year.
Yeah. Carol says Gray's going to win state. They've got a good team, man. It could certainly happen. This would be a really fun. I'm trying to remember, Drell, do you remember, or John, do you remember who won this ball game last year, Crestwood and Gray?
I do not.
I think it was Gray. I want to say Gray won this game.
I think it's maybe in the game that Gray had a big lead and let Crestwood come back and win. I think is what happened. I believe. So at home this year, I like their chances. It comes down to what can Javion Martin do for the Knights. That would be a fun one to go to. We'll just put it that way.
That's gonna be really
if
fun.
We didn't go to Gray last week, I'd probably go back to Gray again. But that's a great ball game between those two squads.
We'll have Orangeburg Wilkinson. They'll go to Keenan. Talked about this game just a little bit earlier. Dillon going to Lamar. Two fun fan bases, two fun programs. Fun matchup. You got to like the Nasty Cats, though.
Yeah, a premier 3A team, Dillon, a premier 1A team, Lamar. Coach Burris at Lamar got his first career win last week. Great to see that for him. I think Dillon just too much depth for Lamar. If you're Lamar, you don't worry about it. You just don't get anybody hurt, and you keep on rolling. But Coach Roller and the Wildcats will be fun to watch here. Interested to see what they can do offensively with the quarterback, Oxendine, a year older. Obviously, Fling is back. They got some studs. I see him Peanuts out there. Josiah Thompson at offensive line is a stud. I think Dillon wins this ball game, but both teams will be heard from, I think, late into November.
Oh, yeah. These will be two teams playing probably late into November, potentially December, too. We have North Charleston hosting Whale Branch. Eastside will be at Pendleton. Powdersville hosting Abbeville, one of the best games that we saw last year. I expect this to be another really, really good game here, too.
Yeah, Abbeville looked really impressive last week over McCormick. Powdersville surprised me losing to Broome. A 1-point ball game. Powdersville goes for too late. They don't get it. There was a questionable call at one point. Was there a fumble? Was there not a fumble? Yada, 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 whatever. Powdersville, I don't know what they've got, if it's enough for Abbeville this week. Last year, the Abbeville team was a little banged up when we saw them play Powdersville. Still a close ball game. I think Powdersville's still working through a couple pieces, figuring out where they want to put what. I think it's a close game again. I think Abbeville may win this one, though. Derek says Powdersville bounces back. Yeah, I think they'll play much better. The Hudgens kid, he didn't play his best game from what I could tell. He'll be right. He'll get those guys right. But that'll be a fun one. I think Abbeville in a close one, but an exciting matchup.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. I think this game will come down to late the fourth quarter. I think Abbeville wins this one this time around. We've got Manning will be at Scotch Branch. Palmetto will be at Seneca. Carvers Bay will go to Waccamaw. West Florence hosting Lake City. And Fountain Inn, 1-0, Fountain Inn going to Woodruff.
Man, hats off to those guys. First win in varsity history for Fountain Inn last week, beating Westside, I think 28-0. The Fury, I think, is going to be a program to really watch the next few years as they grow and get more and more kids in that community and get more and more kids into that high school. But hats off to Coach Nichols and those guys. Awesome to see them get their first win last Friday night. Drew, any other 3A comments before we look down into the 2A action?
Before we get to 2A, I got so many comments. We're just going to go through them all right now just because we got a lot of people showing love right now.
Love it. Appreciate you boys hopping in here with us. Denmark, Bamberg. Yes, that is a great game, 1A game for sure. Swamp Foxes, Marion. Hey, big win last week. Tough one this week. We'll see how that goes, but big win last Friday. Oh, wow. Zach calling for the shutout for Darlington.
I could see that more so than them winning.
Cam, what's going on, man? The Bluff. Yes, Silver Bluff, one of Drell's team of the week last week. Huge win over South Aiken on the road. That team is going to be a fixture in the 2A polls this year.
I like
that. Was John's team of the week. I had the Fury, man. I had the.
You're right. Sorry, I got it mixed up there. Big Valley. Yeah, and if you guys missed our Strom, Thurmond, Midland Valley chat, check that out at the beginning of the show when we get done here. I'll put the timestamp in there. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Corey says Camden going to state because of the big quarterback. Yeah, Grayson White, a 4-year starter now, had a big game last week. Played some defensive end, too, at times, John. Great to see that for him.
I love it.
The Camden team under Coach Rimp, they're always tough. We know that. They'll get better as the season goes on. Yeah, Louisville, Mark, they'll be back with a vengeance. They took a tough loss, so they're not excited about that. But, hey, you never know what happens early in the year. Roberts says go Wildcats. Yeah, Dylan, I think, rolls this week. Yep, so we're exactly right. Yeah, that 2A squad we mentioned is going to be really good this year.
Nobody's going to forget about them this year.
Yeah, Strom, Thurmond. Yep, Omar. It should be a great ball game. Hopefully get some pieces back with the Edmond kid and the linebacker. We'll see if they're back in the action or not on Friday.
All right, boys, we can roll the 2A now.
All right, let's look at some 2A action now, John. A lot of great ball games in 2A as well this week.
We lead off with Military Magnet going to Academic Magnet. Hampton County will be at Allendale Fairfax.
First win in program history for Hampton County last week at the varsity. They beat a good Colony County team 10-0. Zion Dobson, big game for those guys. I can't wait to see as they go on throughout the year how Coach Hannah's squad keeps to progress there.
I think it's going to go up.
Okay, I agree.
We'll have King Street going to Ainer. Blackville Hilda will be at Barnwell.
A Thursday night game. Barnwell looked good last week over Williston Elko. You know what it is? I'm not sure. We got to check back on this. I think Barnwell usually plays their first couple games on a Thursday. I feel like I remember that from last year, too. I'm not sure what the reason is behind that. We'll see. Yeah, Robert says, love the Warhorses. Yeah, that's always a fun program. Coach Smith, first year there. Cam Austin is a really fun quarterback to watch, even better baseball player. I think Barnwell rolls on Thursday night.
I think so, too. Bethune-Bowman will be hosting Woodland. First Baptist will be at Bishop England.
First Baptist looking for win 1. They put up, I think, 42 last week and lost by 3 in Coach Birch's debut. Will be a fun ball game. I think First Baptist has a chance to win this one over Bishop England.
I think so, too. They got to play well, but I think they can. Blacksburg will host St. Joseph's.
Sneaky good game here. Blacksburg, winless last year, got a nice win last Friday. St. Joe's, we know they're going to be a problem. Those private schools in 1A up here in Greenville always are. Will be a really good football team. I think that's a sneaky good ball game, too.
I think so, too. I like St. Joe's a little bit more in that ball game. Have Chesney going to Broome. Pelion will be at Columbia. Williston Elko going to Edisto. We talked about this. Andrew Jackson going to Fairfield Central. That's going to be a great game. Talked about that one a lot at the beginning of the show. Lakewood will be at Fox Creek. Batesburg-Leesville going to Gilbert. Lee Central will be at Great Falls. North Central, nice win for the Knights last week. Did not see that coming. They'll go to Hannah Pamplico Friday. I think
that's a mistake. Actually, they beat Hannah Pamplico last Friday. I think that's a typo. The night one year, but yeah, they did have a nice
again.
maybe so. Maybe they're gonna run it back.
We'll have Eau Claire going to Hunter Karen Tyler. Calhoun County will be at Lake Marion. Mullins.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Mullins at Lakeview.
Lakeview gets back in the winter track, and I was wrong. North Central beat Johnsonville last week.
That's right.
So North Central, Hannah Pamplico should be a fun ball game. Hannah Pamplico scored, I think, 40 or 50 in a win over McBee last week. This is a fun ball game. I do think, the Poston kid there for Hannah Pamplico can really get done through the air. The running back is one of the best in the state there. North Central surprised me. I'm just going to put it that way. I was surprised that they beat Johnsonville last week. And it wasn't very close either, really.
No, and I was really debating about them being my team of the week, too.
Yeah. Derek's has got to apologize to his family in Mullins. Yeah, Lakeview is coming for blood, I think, on Friday night. Mullins had a tough game last week, and it doesn't get any easier for those guys against the Wild Gators.
They'll be fine. Don't feel bad for them. Beaufort will be at McBee. Ware Shoals going to 96. I know we had a comment about 96 earlier getting their first win.
Yeah.
New head coach, right?
Yep. Coach Bennett coming from Clinton. They win by a point. Emerald goes for 2, don't get it. They get the ball back. They fumble it close to the goal line there. And then Ware Shoals a nice win as well under Coach Dodson there. Justice Lomax, a big game. I think 96 goes 2-0, I think, under Coach Bennett here on Friday.
That'd be nice. Central will be going across state lines. They'll play Parkwood. Rich Spring Minetta will be at Saluda.
Saluda, a really good win last week. I don't know if we learned a lot about them, but they did win pretty handily. Rich Spring Minetta, I was surprised by the score of that ball game. Tress says they'll fight hard. They're going to need it for sure. Coach Young's Tigers, I think, are pretty solid, but we'll learn more as the season rolls on about those guys.
Yeah, if Rich Spring Minetta keeps that game close, that's going to be a really good sign for them. I don't think they have to win the game, but if they keep it close, that will be very impressive. Sagasti will be at Silver Bluff.
Two teams that had nice wins last week. Sagasti 6-0 over North Myrtle Beach. Silver Bluff, the big win over South Aiken. I think Silver Bluff goes up a couple classes and wins again. But SCISA, they may be a sneaky team. We'll see. I don't know a ton about them right now. I feel like we haven't talked about them since the Hunter Renfro days, which has been, 9 or 10 years now almost. But I think Silver Bluff is for real. I think the Bulldogs win again.
I agree. But hey, if SCISA wins this game, then it's going to be all right. Put a mark by them and watch them for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And Marion will be at Wilson.
Yep. Drill, any more 2A comments before we look over to 1A? Corey says Marion big over Wilson. We'll see. I think, Corey, if I remember correctly, they had a big lead last year in that ball game, but then couldn't hold on. Wilson came back to win. Trev says Bluff by a lot. I could see it for sure.
Yeah, we can move on, guys. That's all I got right now.
Perfect. Let's look at 1A now.
All right, jump in. Porter-Gaud will be at Burke. Calhoun Falls will play, and I don't know where this school is from. I don't know if they're new, hosting Red Rose City Academy.
Never heard of them. Calhoun Falls, very impressive win last week over Cross. We thought Cross would be pretty good. Calhoun Falls took them behind the woodshed. Not really a competitive ball game. Christian Zachary and crew looked really good. I think Calhoun Falls continues to roll. I don't know who this team is. I can't imagine they're very good. So I'm going Calhoun Falls.
I'm going Calhoun Falls too.
It's the new Bishop Sycamore.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
We'll keep our eye on Red Rose City, see where they go the rest of the year. We'll have Dixie going to Crescent. Had mentioned this game earlier. Bamberg Earhart going to Denmark. Olar could be a good game here, but I like Bamberg.
Yeah. Oh, you're right, Thomas. Sorry, Calhoun Falls. Yeah, I also thought they were Calhoun County. Brain fart there. Sorry. Zach Theus and crew there at Calhoun Falls. That'll be a tougher fall game for those guys. Calhoun County looked really good. Calhoun Falls not so good. We'll see how they do against Red Rose Academy. Bamberg and Denmark. Bamberg, 19 starters back or something like that, John, or maybe 21 starters back. Crazy number. Crosby and those guys. Anthony Williams out there. Really good football team there. Denmark Olar, we don't know a ton about, I feel like, but they've always got playmakers there. They always do. I think Bamberg wins this game, but I think Denmark at home puts up a tough test for those guys.
Yeah, they certainly can. But I think Bamberg, I think this could be a 10-point, 2-score game. I like Bamberg here. Johnsonville will go to Green Sea Floyd to try to bounce back.
Both teams start off 0-1. Somebody getting off the snide here. I think Johnsonville does. I'm a big Malik Shippey fan. Didn't play his best game last week. I think Coach Cribb and the boys get back on the winning track.
I think so too. Cross will be at Hemingway. Calhoun County will be at Lake Marion.
Great win for Calhoun County. So everything I said 2 minutes ago, say it now. Christian Zachary and crew, big win over Cross. They look great. I think they win again over Lake Marion.
East Clarendon will be at Latta. McCormick will go over state lines. They'll play Lincoln County in Georgia. Ware Shoals will be at 96. Southside Christian is going to be playing the Carolina High School out of North Carolina. Baptist Hill will go to St. John's. C.A. Johnson going to Trinity Collegiate. Walkmall hosting Carvers Bay. Louisville will go to Wagner Sally.
Louisville looking for blood after a tough loss last week, and they lost that game. They didn't score offensive touchdown, John. The 7 points came on a pick six, actually. You think that Grissom and Brown and Robinson and crew can get it going offensively this week. I think they win this game pretty handily over Wagner Sally.
I think they bounce back, and this is another team.
Might be a name your score. Yeah.
Well, and also where we see a big improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah.
Louisville, all these guys are probably thinking, man, we're great. And then, all right, you gotta take a little adversity to get back on it.
Yeah, Mark's right. That region is so unpredictable. A couple years ago, I think Wagner went to the finals, I believe it was, right before the state title game there. They had a big run. You never know who's going to come out of that region. There's always some good football play down there for sure.
Yeah. And then closing it out, Whitmire will host Spartanburg Christian.
Fun game there. Spartanburg Christian. I don't know if they've got enough. Whitmire did not look great last week. I was surprised by that. We'll see how that goes. But a couple of SCISA games as well. I want to get across here. Wilson Hall at Hilton Head Christian. Two kind of contrasting styles there. That's fun. John Paul and Bethesda. Coach Milligan got his first win last week at John Paul. They look good. Bethesda looked good as well. A really sneaky game here. Northwood and Colleton Prep. Cole Davis and Colleton Prep had a huge ball game. Northwood, I think, didn't win a game last year. They got a big winner to Coach Waters last week. That's a fun one. And then not our SCISA game of the week, but a very interesting ball game, I think, here, John. And that's Cardinal Newman traveling to PD. PD didn't play last week. Cardinal Newman did. They had a very solid win over Trinity Collegiate. We know they've got some studs coming back for Cardinal Newman. You got to give them an advantage because they've played a ball game, you think.
and they played very well.
And PD's got some pieces to replace with the new quarterback and new running back and whatnot. But a lot of athletes on that field for a SCISA game.
Yeah, and I felt like I shortchanged Cardinal Newman probably in our preseason show, and they came out Friday and they looked really, really good. Quarterback Duncan Skehan, 10 for 12.
Yeah,
10 for 12 for 250 yards. You don't get more efficient than that.
Yep.
25 yards of completion, and you only misfire on 2. Anytime you have more touchdowns than incompletions, you are really playing some good football.
Always a good win. Always
that's game one.
Yeah.
So that's a great sign. Cortez Lane, previously at Camden, he had a very good ball game as well for Cardinal Newman. I believe in him.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen the highlight, I can't remember the kid's name right now. I think it's Brandon or Braden. I can't think if it's Rogers, something his last name. Had a huge pick six, literally in the backfield. Snagged the ball, took it in the house. Great play from him there. It's a really highlight. It's a highlight going around Twitter and Facebook. Check that out for sure. That was a great play for Cardinal Newman. PD, the opening up the new stadium, John. Howdy Townsend Stadium lawn in Spivey Field. There, the lawn. Always tough to play down there in Mullins. Don't know if they quite have it all gelled together enough right now. We'll see how that goes. But it'll be a fun SCISA matchup there on Friday night. Drill, any comments to get to before we roll into the next segment?
Yeah, got some housekeeping stuff here. Crestwood won that game against Gray last year. That was 37-28.
Yep, I want to say it was 28-0, and they came back to win that one, I think.
Yep, Javion Martin, man, he's a stud. Also getting from the chat, supposedly this Red Rose school is in Lancaster.
That makes sense. Lancaster is the Red Rose city, so that would make sense.
Okay.
There we go. I'm going to give a shout out to Derek right now because this is the second best comment of the night.
He's got a shout out to Drill. Appreciate you, man.
Derek, is he paying you something on the side here?
Nothing at all. Derek is a smart man, and this is
I do want to say that. I hope you guys are enjoying the new setup. But having Jarrell running the board makes it a lot easier for John and I not to be clicking buttons and looking around a whole lot. So Jarrell's doing a great job behind the glass over there.
And this is the best comment of the night for sure.
Amen. Shut it down for sure, Robert. I know you're excited about the Warhorses, man. I think they get a 2-0 this week. Those boys looked good last week in that win over Wilson Elk. I think they will look good again this week, and they win that ball game. Drill, let's get another shout out to our friends here before we look into some of the other stuff we've got planned.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Okay, let's take a look at our Pick'em brought to you by Hanna Engineering. Week 0 was tough, John. I think there's a lot of games that we didn't expect to go a certain way that did. Drill, if you want to pop up our leaderboard, we'll show you guys who won the Week 0 Pick'em. I know we had a 10-pointer in there. See if Drill can get to it. Chris S. with a big 10 spot. A lot of folks with 9. Patrick and Grant and Stefan and Tyler and David. A lot of 8s in there. I had 7. Drill 7. John 6. But don't forget, guys, if you missed it last week, you can still get in. It's on our Facebook page. It's on our Twitter page. Go click the link. Sign up for the Pick'em. We dropped your lowest week, so you still got time to catch up. A lot of games to be played. Chris, hats off, man. I don't know how you got 10. I wasn't close to getting 10, so congrats on that. But our Pick'em brought to you by Hanna Engineering. We've got a great slate of 11 games again this week for you guys to pick from, so definitely get in there and do that by 7 o'clock on Friday. Definitely want to see you guys be a part of that. Also want to shout out our players of the week. Jamel House from Newberry, big ball game. BJ Montgomery at Gray Collegiate goes for 297, I think it was. And then Kevon Rivera, Hanahan, goes for over 306 touchdowns. He needed every one of them, John. That's our players of the week brought to you by the George Agency. They do a great job there. You just heard their spot here a second ago. So definitely shout out to that. And if you guys know a coach who sends out the stats list for your program, have them add us to that. Really right now on Fridays and Saturdays, we spend a lot of our day scrolling through social media trying to find stats and max preps and whatnot. So if you guys see somebody with a big game, send it to us. Love to get your comments on Twitter and Facebook and et cetera. Definitely shoot that over to us. Love to get get some more nominations and get some more shout-outs. We had a lot of great performances last week to pick from. It's hard to narrow it down, really, but I think we got 3 pretty solid ones there. This has been a lot of fun, guys. We've had some big numbers in here commenting tonight. Really been great. It's always better when we get interaction from the fans, right, John?
Oh, yeah, especially when they call you out. That's really, really fun.
Yeah, sometimes, you get the schools mixed up, man. It happens, all right? That's just a part of it. But if you guys have just tuned in for the first time, you can obviously go back and watch the show from the beginning when we get done here. It stays on our Facebook or YouTube page forever. Go check out our CONA games of the week. Go check out our 5A, 4A, et cetera, breakdowns. We're here live every Tuesday night about 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. We go live. Get in here and comment with us. Great to have you on here. Like this, share this, subscribe, tell all your friends. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, et cetera, at Movin Chains, movinchains.com. MOVINCHAINS.com is our website. Our podcast comes out on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. John and I do the live preview show here on Tuesdays. Drill and I do a recap show on Sundays, goes through all the scores and recaps from across the state. That comes out on podcast only on usually Sunday afternoons, Sunday nights. We do our Friday night space. It's super fun to do. It's an old school scoreboard show. We go live on Twitter Friday nights about 10:30, 11, whenever the games get over. We'll see about this week with the games get moved back, what time that will be. But we basically run through through all the scores from across the state. You guys can request to join and tell us about the game that you were at. Ask us about a score we're going to do. It's a lot of fun to do. We had some Clinton guys in last week. We had some Gaffney guys in last week. We had some Fort Dorchester, Somerville guys in last week. James Island was in last week. We got some more coaches and whatnot lined up for this week. Definitely check us out on there on Twitter at Movin Chains. It's a lot of fun for me, John, because you get some perspective. Back in the day, you get the scoreboard shows. You have a couple coaches call in, maybe yada, yada. They run through the scores. But now it's kind of a fan's perspective. Say, hey, I was at Lake City in West Florence. Here's what happened in this ball game. It's a lot of fun to hear from you guys, the fans in there. A lot more interactive. We don't have big commercial breaks inside of it. You're going to love that for sure. And it's just, you don't have to look for a new station as you drive back to your house. We're all in the same spot all night long. So definitely check out John and Drill and I on Friday Night Spaces. It's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed that, and it's getting bigger and bigger. Drill, John, anything else I'm missing housekeeping-wise from week 0 and week 1? Well, zoom in on us here, huh, Drill? There we go.
Oh, sorry. Wrong button. No, you get everything.
You get one compliment and you just start messing up everything.
Hey, man, got a little gun shy. Fingers got a little fat right there. No, everything was good. All the socials, be sure to follow us there. Twitter Spaces, of course, that's a lot of fun. Pick'em contest, I keep hammering that. If you missed last week, that was your mulligan. Be sure to do it. Get that in by 7. Another thing, this week with the heat and all that good stuff, let us know. We don't know about these game times and stuff like that. Keep us abreast. We might have some stuff where they're, postpone some games or something like that. I don't know what's going on now. This didn't happen, back in my day. I'll shake my stick. But keeping the kids safe, that's the most important thing. So, but yeah, I think we hit it all.
Yeah, any other comments we need to get to, Jarrell? I see one about Tadarian Greer at Fairfield Central. Big game last week. He had 6 for 101, I believe it was. He's a great athlete there. One of our games of the week, AJA in Fairfield Central. Definitely check that one out in our CONA games of the week. Any other comments, Jarrell, we need to go through? New setup looks sharp. Thank you, B. Hester 333. Appreciate that, man. A lot of hard work. We got some more gear coming, too, to make the wall look even better. Working on getting that set up once I get some more shelving put up. We're kind of making it work as we can right now. Whoa, Dadrian. Rock Hill over South Point. That would be quite a surprise. I will say the one thing Rock Hill has going in their favor is the quarterback. Matthew Wilson, the App State commit, is a really, really good football player, really dynamic athlete. We talk about it every year. If you got a good quarterback who can make plays with his feet, they can win you ball games that maybe you shouldn't win. If you look at them just lined up side by side, South Point is the favorite, a heavy favorite here. But you got a guy like Wilson. Maybe he can help the Bearcats hang around. I still like South Point, but we'll see what happens.
That'd be a big one. That would be a big one.
Yeah, that's the last one for us, guys.
Okay, perfect. Well, cool, man. We've really enjoyed it, guys. Look forward to catching you on here again soon. Like I said, check us out on our social media stuff. We got good things going all week long. For Jarrell Hendricks and John Epps, I've been Kevin Thomas. This has been our week 1 preview show here on Movin the Chains, What Do I Founders Federal Credit Union, and we will talk to you guys soon.